Well, hey, we're going to end that countdown a little early because we're just so darn excited to be here.
So loud.
And a little late, so hey, there you go. Welcome to Bead Maker and Coffee. Today's distributor sponsor is Hometown Distributing, and our product sponsor today is Absolute Rinseless Wash. When you absolutely have to wash it without a rinse, absolutely use Absolute. So here we go.
Keith has had his coffee today.
Kyle Clark. I've been up for 3.5 hours because I'm on the East Coast. Look at my sunny Florida background. And I'm ready to go. I'm going to go see customers today. I'm going down to William Lars. We're going to have a ball, but you guys are the stars of the show. Welcome, Sydney. Kyle, you're back. Woohoo! So we are excited to be here. It is a post-MTE show, and we're ready to go. So what do you got, guys?
Wow. That was quite the intro.
That was quite the intro.
I love it.
Imagine what happens when I start drinking and doing coffee.
You're funny. I got to turn on my comment.
We should change this show to another name in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe was it Johnny Double Black, Johnny Walker Double Black and coffee and detailing
in your coffee.
And your coffee. in your coffee.
There you go.
That's funny.
Well, a lot's been going on. It's been a minute. I've been really, really, really busy, and you guys have been really, really busy. Why don't you go ahead and talk about? Well, I can tell you where I was, then, because you probably have more to talk about.
If I can find all the words, I'm still like.
I got a few left over for you if you need some.
I'm still so tired. So, as most of you know, because we saw quite a few of you this weekend, I just got home yesterday from Mobile Tech Expo in Orlando. And I think yesterday, what was it, like 90 degrees in Orlando? And it is 8 degrees in Boise right now. So that was one fun thing. And then I'm just exhausted. Holy cow. So coming from the East Coast back to the West Coast and then up bright and early. I'm working on my coffee though, but happy to see y'all.
Same. Really happy to see you guys. I took a trip out to Arizona and visited a couple friends, and did some visiting of some detail supply stores, and went and checked out a shop out in Lake Havasu, a guy that I've been watching a long time, Chris Greiner. Just wanted to see his operation, and his company culture has always intrigued me. And it was a lot of fun hanging out with him and his team for the afternoon. And then I went out to Scottsdale and did a little PPF training, and learned some tips and tricks. So, and then I drove home at the butt crack of dawn yesterday trying to get home to my family so I could spend, Sunday afternoon with them. So,
what time we left for the airport, Kyle? Holy cow.
Yeah. Well, I was home by 10:30, and it's about a 5-hour drive. So 5.5.
Nice.
It's all good.
The cat. Someone's asking where the cat is. She's right there. See, William? She's right there. Where's he? She won't let. We already did that earlier. She said hi to Keith. That was about it.
Yeah, she's like a one recognition cat. That's it. She got it.
Yep.
So, I've just been running through the good mornings here for everybody. Good morning, everyone. Gabriel, I hate to say this, but Chris ain't coming back, buddy. You're stuck with me. I don't know if you know that.
I did see Bob. He's here. He got home at 1 a.m. That's early or late.
I saw Josh Pierce. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Hey, we met that guy at MTE. He was very cool. He does a lot of motorcycles.
Yeah. Well, and Jeff is actually from the same territory as our distributor sponsor today. So that's cool.
Yep. I'm trying to see who got Wi-Fi on the plane. I think that might be Chris. Oh, no, that's Nicole. Nicole has Wi-Fi on the plane.
Really?
Oh, it is your first Bead Maker and Coffee. She always says it's too early for them.
Well, it kind of is. A couple times don't even. It's like 5 or 4:30 for them. So it's not cool.
Yay! Yeah. Lots of good mornings.
Yeah, we did have a question early in the show, and I am going to bring it back. So don't think that I forgot about it.
we'll get to that. We got to talk about our details. So why don't you go ahead and
Oh,
tell us
man.
about mobile tech and
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not going to be able to remember any details.
yeah,
Mobile tech. Man, so I was there for like 4 or 5 days. I can't even remember now, but it was such a great show. I mean, every year that expo grows, by a noticeable amount. There was a lot of detailers there. The education day, always well attended, always, one of the highlights. I think they do such a great job. All the speakers do such a great job. I got to sit in on Robin Sweet's first presentation. She did a great job. It was just, so great. And this is the show. I mean, SEMA's fun in its own way, but MTE is where you really get to connect with other detailers and have the time to sit and chat. And it's just like it's such a great way to kick off the year, in my opinion. So we had a smaller booth this year, which was fine. And it was busy the whole time, and usually like on Saturday, it's kind of slow. It wasn't. It was, it was packed the whole time. And it was just a really, really good show. We just had a great time. It was, yes, MTE fatigue. Definitely. So yeah, it was, I don't know anything specifically to call out other than it was just a great show. The IDA awards was great. It was just a lot of positive energy. It was great.
Yeah, well, hey, shout out to on the IDA Awards real quick to two P&S partners, Kimball's, which won for Shop of the Year, and William Lara, who won for Detail Supplier of the Year. So
yes, that was so cool.
congratulations. That's
And
awesome.
then, since we're mentioning that, I know he doesn't want us to, but our own Bob Phillips won the Lifetime Achievement Award from the MTE Awards side.
Oh, cool.
Vegan. So that was super cool. He was totally surprised when we walked in on Saturday morning. They had a huge, I'll put it all up later, but they had a huge banner with, him and his family on it. And it was, great all around, right?
William
Yeah,
finally
it's
won,
fantastic.
someone said.
He did. Awesome.
Yeah, but we still have the Susan Lucci of
We both
the
have
IDA
been
Award.
nominated
Just
for
to
that
Kyle
award a
Clark.
billion times. I don't want to be
Susan
nominated for
Lucci.
Mobile Detailer of the Year ever again.
Kyle, we need to get you a patch for your backpack that says Susan Lucci.
Susan Lucci.
Oh gosh. The dog is here. She's here. She's hiding on the other side of the cat, whining because she can't get on camera. Good morning.
I don't even want to know what that's
Snowbirds,
about, Terry.
Jamie and Mike. Oh, Jamie and Mike, they abused Terry.
Terry the turtle. Yeah, it's a little early for turtling, guys. Can't do that till the second half of the show.
Yep. Too funny. Kyle, is awesome to see you, brother. Yep, it is good to see your face. Look at you. Everybody's shiny and bright.
Gabriel.
Good morning, Keith. He'll take you. Keith's a keeper. Good morning, Sydney, Kyle, and Keith.
Hey, and we had our friend with us this week as well. Mr.
Yes.
Alan Metcalf came in from Scotland, and he got to hang out with us at the Bead Maker Lounge House, and that was cool to have him with us.
Yeah.
And had the whole crew there, so that was awesome.
Alan was the designated, you're drinking whatever Sydney drinks this week. There's always one.
He was by Saturday morning. He was struggling with a little overload there. Yesterday morning, he went back to straight coffee sit.
Yeah,
he had to step it back down.
Yeah, so funny. Great. Yes, Robin did a great job. Man, killed it. She's amazing. Can Kyle smile? He can.
I did.
He can. Yep. William finally won. It was great. Yep. Really, really great. I'll put up a whole video about Bob's award later.
And then
it was great.
William wins and he can't say a word. Guy never shuts up and he doesn't say anything when he gets up there. It's just crazy.
Bob says, "Don't worry, Kyle. I'll nominate you again for Mobile Detailer of the Year."
Thanks. Yeah.
He's our Susan Lucci. That's what it is.
That's so funny, Susan Lucci. Oh, yes. I know you're going through the comments. I won't skip ahead. I was going to agree.
Yeah, this is my virtual backdrop because Bob did not spring for a condo on the ocean for this trip.
Oh.
So this is not my hotel room. That's not what it looks like.
So funny. Good morning, everyone. Great to meet you at the Supreme Detailing on Saturday. Yes. Oh, yeah. We had this. Yeah, I totally forget. We had, by that point, I was done. The Supreme open house on Saturday was very well attended. So great. Those guys do such a great job there. We got to give away a lot of great stuff. And it was just, those are just the best, right? It's such a great way to close out MTE, and it's great to support the local distributors of all of our favorite products, and just really, really great people that work there. I really enjoy going to that store. They have such a great setup.
Yeah, and we missed the big show stuff. So we forgot some little guy nobody knows named Rennie Doyle did the keynote. So I mean, it was a show for PNS for us for sure. We had a great time, and Rennie absolutely killed it. Never seen the room that full at Mobile Tech.
So many people.
I mean, Rennie's keynote had seating for over 325, I think, and there was probably 150 standing.
Yeah.
So he packed the room, and let's be clear, it wasn't all detailers. There were PDR guys and all that stuff in there too. So, all great. We had just such a great time with those guys, and then we got a bunch of stuff coming up. So we can't forget toward the second half of the hour to talk about the craziness that will be PNS's, I guess, next 35, 40 days. Because we got a lot on the agenda. So,
and speaking of, real quick, because I thought this was interesting about MTE this year is, Mobile Tech Expo is primarily like one half of it is PDR, paintless dent repair guys, and then the other half is detailers. And we've all heard the story how the first couple of years there was 5 detailers, and now I would almost say there was more detailers than PDR guys this year. But what I think is interesting was, even my first couple years, the PDR guys stayed on the PDR side. The detailers stayed on the detailer side. A lot of detailers, you'll hear us, I've said it, oh, that'd be so great to get into PDR. That looks so fun. And then you go see what's involved and you're like, no, I'll stay over here. Like, that's fine. Because it's a learned skill. It's super hard. But what I thought was interesting, and Keith, maybe you noticed this, is I had so many PDR guys come to the booth this year and want to know about detailing. And they were thinking about adding detailing to their shop and stuff. And so, I mean, I talked to so many PDR guys this year, and I've never in the years past have had PDR guys come to the booth. So I thought that was really cool, how it was kind of like, now they're like, wait, you people over here are kind of cool. Let's see what they're doing. So that was cool.
Yeah, that's a growing trend. We've seen the last few years a little more interest from the PDR guys. And I mean, Kevin started this thing really for mobile detailers. And so, now it's obviously with the IDA and everything. And speaking of that, we got to, mention our Hall of Fame friend and the guy who started the show, Kevin Halewood, was inducted into the IDA Hall of Fame. So, which is cool. I mean, the guy gave us a place to do this show, and, that there is no party like that if there's no Kevin Halewood. So thank you to Kevin for giving us a place to go and a show to be at. So,
Yep. And then Jason Bruno, we just had his comment up there. He said he missed Kyle. We all missed Kyle at MTE. So Jason and Alex got to do their Detail Solutions podcast live, which I encourage you guys all to go watch all those interviews, because it was with a lot of really great people. They had great interviews. And so this was the first time they kind of got to do their podcast live, and it was really awesome. So Alan and I got to go on it, and, I went back yesterday on the plane and listened to all their other interviews, and they did a good job. So congrats to Jason Bruno on that. That was awesome. Terry, PNS meet and greet. And
Terry, you're getting ahead of us, man. That's second half of the show. Yeah. I'm actually going to start some questions for you guys. Kyle, you didn't talk about your details, so you owe us.
You owe us a detail.
Yeah, so I worked on a classic Porsche last week, kind of into the beginning of this week, and one thing that I really, really loved on this, it was a 94 928. It was original paint. It was a lot of work, but I used the PNS leather treatment on everything inside, all the plastics, all the leather. It was so dried out and the plastics just came out amazing. It was so, so nice. So I really don't ever do that. I usually use natural finish, but I was like, you know what? Let's put leather tree all over it. And did it a couple times on the door panels, and they looked like new when I was done. So that was a fun kind of part concourse. It wasn't full concourse detail, but it was definitely getting into the realm of concourse, with all of the tight polishing that I had to do on the pillars and the trim and the emblems, and just tons of touch-up paint all over. The thing was covered in rock chips. And as you know, when you're buffing and removing swirls, which are kind of camouflaging the chips, now all the chips stand out. So the paint was so flat and black and shiny, then you see all these speckles everywhere. So I sat there with touch-up paint for hours, just trying to make it look as good as possible. It was a lot of fun though, but it was one of those things where I called the owner. I'm like, "All right, come get it. I want it gone. I don't want to look at it anymore." We've kind of, yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, I got a question. People asked us if we went to Senior Frogs this year and the IGL party. We did not. We had a Founders Club meeting, and we just kind of, I think we were running a little low on steam at that point. So we missed that event. But I heard it was fantastic, and a lot of folks went to that. And we did manage to rally for Saturday night and get to the super detail party. So next year we'll have to get in a little better party shape and see if we can make the IGL.
We'll have to get our party game on. I think in our household, we probably had people from 5 different time zones. I'm not sure. We were, by that night, we were, all of us were a mess. We were a mess.
And,
2 different countries.
Sid and I come in on Tuesday, Bob and, Sydney and I and Prentice and Alan were in Tuesday, and then Bob and Ian showed up Wednesday. And then, so it was a little bit of I think a little bit of jet lag punched us in the nose sometime Friday afternoon.
It was a DoorDash night.
We actually did DoorDash. That's true. We've never done that.
We've never done that. Yeah.
It may need to be a new thing. So, going with what next month is, so we got to talk about what next month is for PNS as well, because this month was Wash Month, which is why Absolute is our show sponsor today. But our first question of the day, and I'll bounce off here as we go to it, is about an interior topic, which is actually our topic for next month. Cool. So here you go, guys.
Awesome. All right. Can you dilute Express Interior?
Yeah, you can. I do it often, but usually only 50-50, 1-to-1.
Yeah.
I really like it full strength for most details, but when it's like a maintenance detail on a really nice car that I'm just not trying to, do a lot of deep cleaning, I usually dilute it 1-to-1. I like that result.
Yep.
It gives it a lighter smell, and it's worked out well for me.
Yep. Yeah, I do. I usually always do 1-to-1. Once in a while, I'll use it full strength, like you say, if something's really dirty. But I do it 1-to-1 a lot just because, I'm agitating it and then using my steamer to rinse it. And so I do 1-to-1 a lot. It's great. I think it just, rinses and removes great and stuff. But like Kyle said, I would not go less than 1-to-1. Wouldn't do that. All right, next one. Question for question time. What pad and polish do you all recommend for 1-steps on a soft medium new car paint?
Soft car paint. I really like the yellow or the blueberry pads is where I like to start. And as far as the polish goes, I usually go to Ultra Coat Polish. Is kind of my go-to now. It just kind of I start there and see if I need to increase the pad density or soften it, or if I need to change to a different product. But that's kind of like my go-to start for a test spot. I always do test spot first.
Yeah. And I do a lot of new cars right now. The last couple of months, I've done a lot of new cars. And my current favorite combo is actually the blueberry pad from Buff and Shine paired with actually Full Throttle. So Full Throttle is a product that P&S has had around for quite some time. It's, it is a polish, but it's got a little bit of kick to it when it comes to, just prepping and correcting. So it's kind of one of those, I have found that I can get quite a bit of correction, and it's super easy to wipe off. And it's just been a really great combo. I use that probably 80% of the time. And you know me, I like stuff that's super easy to wipe off. So that is kind of, I'm using, a heavier cut pad with a polish, great one step. So that I use a lot. And then I also, sometimes I'll use the yellow if there's literally nothing going on. But most new cars come with, some, they've been through the car wash at the dealership once that, I kind of give it a good once over. So yeah, love Full Throttle. Terry's saying he's loving the blueberry and Full Throttle. It's a great combo. Actually, and I'll give credit where it's due on that one, was Josh Pierce that,
Yeah.
because me, I like to go in the basement and pull everything out. And Josh was like, why aren't you using Full Throttle? So yes, love it. That's my favorite right now.
Yeah, he got me hooked on that.
Yep. Turtle, you better start heading there now. I think Terry must be going to Hayward today.
Oh, wow.
I think that's for the meet and greet on the 10th.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
And Jason, yes, the PDR community are awesome. Yeah, I've just never gotten to interact with them, and they were super cool. Very, very cool. Very cool. Bob says it could be you. I do remember when he put this, he was talking about all of the PDR guys coming to the booth. Gabriel. Yes, Bob Phillips celebrated his birthday. He does every year when we're at MTE. He loves it. It's his favorite day of the week. He loves when the dessert gets delivered to the table with a candle. So happy birthday again, Bob, from everybody here on Bead Maker and Coffee.
Yeah.
Mike says, what are the benefits of being an IDA member? Well, there's a lot. There is a lot. So for one, it's just, you have to get, obviously, the certified detailer, skills validated. So it gives you something to show that you've exhibited your skills to get this, certification. But then you become part of a community that you have lots of people to lean on, everybody, there's newsletters, there's webinars, there's podcasts, there's a lot of specific, support and education that goes out that's all very organized. It also, for me, in my path, one of the biggest advantages for me was being able to become involved with the IDA to help, give back to this industry, in ways that I thought that I could give back. And so, for instance, I am the chair of the trade show committee this year, and that is up my alley from my past in doing events. I put on car shows. And so that's where I'm able to bring some expertise in other parts of my life to bring back more to the industry. So for me, I wanted to join to give back to the industry. But as a member, you just have a lot of support and, education tools right at your fingertips. It does give you some marketing ability with your customers too, so that they know that you have completed things that, give you a little bit of, I know what I'm doing. I'm sure I missed a million. Keith, do you want to jump in on this one, or Kyle? What was the benefits of being an IDA member? There's a lot.
A ton. I can start with just the industry relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I got to say it, you'll know a guy or a gal. You'll know a guy. You may not be able to know the answer. You may not be able to know the product, but you'll know somebody that you can go to get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
And if our Q&A is anything, it's, a guy. So beyond all the camaraderie and the relationships and the growth of the industry, and it's a smaller world than you think it is. And I could go on for days, but the relationships are number 1, 2, 3, and 5 for me. So that's why.
Yep.
Well, I really like the certification process, and it's not like you go and you're trained in detailing there, but being certified, make sure you know your stuff. I really like the SV because there's a lot of things in there that a lot of detailers don't realize, all of the touch points that need to be addressed before you
Mhm.
finish the vehicle, pH levels. I mean, it does help you become a better detailer. It makes you look
Mhm.
for answers. And so it makes sure that we're all on the same page and we're providing great services because we have that basic knowledge and those skills.
Yep, yep. Robin jumped in and said industry standards awareness, which is awesome. And then also, this is cool. This weekend, so last year they added the boat certification, and then this weekend they added the motorcycle certification. So I think that's cool to kind of see some of these skills validated. Work into some specialty things that those individuals working in those specific, avenues. It kind of gives them an extra little bump, which is really cool. So um, MTE lights a fire, maybe set some new goals and creates momentum. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It's a great kickoff for the year. Gets you kind of ready to go. And, it's always re-energizing, right? To see, other detailers and get to talk to them. And sometimes it's just the littlest tips and stuff that you pick up that really is awesome. So
Yeah, and there was a lot of people that got certified at MTE, right?
yeah, yeah. Yep. They did all the normal CDSV. We had, I think how old was Steve Thompson, who's here from Boise, Detail Doctors.
Right.
His son
11.
took the CD test,
Oh
which
wow,
was so cool. Yeah, so he got to take the CD test. He's either 11 or 12, I can't remember. And so he took the CD test and passed. And they call him the detail kid. He helps out Steve a lot. And so for those of us that were there, that was really cool to see him get certified, and that was fun. He was super
very
excited
cool.
about it. Yeah.
Is he probably one of the youngest
I
that's
think
ever
he is
done
the
it?
young.
He is the youngest
Nice,
now. Yeah. So, and then we had the motorcycle folks get
Yep.
certified, first group of those, and we did Marine.
Mhm.
So they did them all,
Yep.
which was really super cool to see at the event. And hey, I got to remind everybody, we were in 3 times bigger a room than we'd ever been in for the IDA Awards
Yes.
night, and it was still fun.
Yep.
So that was a great night too, to just see everybody come together. So yeah, really cool, and congrats to everybody that got certified, because that takes a little bit to go do it in front of all your peers. So
Yep.
that was cool.
And then Ramiro chimed in, and I think this is important because this is actually how I explain the IDA to my customers. Because when they come in my shop, I have all my IDA certificates up on the wall, and some of them will ask about it. And so this is kind of what I let them know, for myself is, it's a certification similar to a mechanic having ASE certification. So it just gives the customer, that little bit of confidence that you know what you're doing. So and everybody has heard ASE certified. And so with my customers, that's kind of how I relate it to them when they ask me what does IDA mean? And then they go, oh yeah, okay, I get it. So that's an easy way to explain it as well. All
uh,
right. Next question. This is a good one. This one might be more up your alley, Kyle. What product works with mold?
this may actually be more up Keith's alley, but what would I try on mold or what works on mold?
Right.
I mean, I know for sure you do not want to steam mold and blow back into your face. That is a very
Right.
bad. There are chemicals that are specific to cleaning mold on the market. I'm sure there are products like alcohol or peroxide that can also
Mhm.
do those things. But
Mhm.
Keith, what's going to do it?
Not bleach.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
So let's get the important thing out of the way first. Not bleach.
Yeah.
Any of your peroxide cleaners are going to work really well for
Yeah.
that. So that's why on our carpet system,
Right.
that's kind of step 3. It helps inhibit mold growth and bacteria growth, as well as it helps us dry the carpet faster. So that's what that product does for us. There are specific products for that, but I would say in our lineup, that's where you're going to go
Yeah.
to the peroxide finisher.
Yeah.
Rule number 1, there's mold and there's mold spore. So there's, bacteria, that kind of thing. You need to clean the surface first. This is something we talk about with cleaning carpet, right? You got to get the dirt out of it first before you can take the stain out. So, really clean the surface well. More importantly, forget the product. You really want to make sure you protect yourself. So gloves, face mask, safety glasses, all that stuff. There's only about a dozen or so actually dangerous molds out there out of 10,000 different types.
Mhm.
You know, but just respiratory inhibition is the big issue. So protect yourself, remove the debris first, remove the bulk of the product first, and then come back with a treatment. A general purpose cleaner is not a bad thing to clean the surface and remove the debris. You want to treat it with something that's an antibacterial, and it's not a bad thing, but something like a peroxide is going to actually kill the mold spore, and that's what we're looking to do. So
Yeah.
that's
And
all I
that's what
know.
I've not had anything like, terribly moldy, but generally that's exactly what I do. I start with finisher and I kind of soak everything with finisher, remove the matter on top. I start with finisher and then I kind of let that sit for a pretty good amount of time, 30 minutes or so. And then I come back and then start my normal cleaning process. But that's usually what I do, is kind of try to deactivate everything with finisher first and then start back over. So yeah.
And then the
So
next question to ask with that is, what's the cause of this? It's
mhm,
one thing if the car sat for 30 years in a barn, we know. But if it's a
right.
daily driver and you've got mold inside the car, how did we
Mhm.
get to this situation? Because if you don't
Yeah.
mitigate why it keeps happening, it's going to
Yeah.
continue to be a problem. So
Yeah.
that's the other
Yep.
part. And that's where guys and gals who do leak detection have my
Yeah.
undying love, because,
Yeah.
dude, finding a leak in a car is a thing.
Right.
Really is. So here's a
Yep.
repeat of Jet's question. Jet, we got to this, but yes, you can dilute express interior. And Kyle, you recommend what ratio? 1-to-1?
I like 1-to-1.
Yeah. That's what I do too.
If you're going to dilute it, that's as much as I would go. After
Okay, so
that,
we got the other question on
dusting and wiping it down.
Alcantara the other day. What
Yeah.
would you do for dilution ratio on express for Alcantara, which we know is synthetic or microsuede?
Yeah. So for sure, 1-to-1 on that. So I did see that question that was on the Bead Maker Lounge. And so for me, because I have Alcantara in my car. So, and when I got my car, it was actually kind of dirty. So I will either, if it's not super dirty, because the thing with Alcantara is it is just a microfiber material. It's not anything. A lot of people are really scared of Alcantara, and it's really pretty durable. So the only time you really need to worry is if their Alcantara is not in good shape. So if we're talking it's an older car and it's got wear marks, where it's really thin, that's where you need to take a little bit of extra care. But otherwise you're going to clean it kind of like normal, but I just don't ever spray anything on it. So if I'm using Express at 1-to-1, I'll spray it on the towel and then I just use, fluid movements. I don't scrub unless it really needs to be scrubbed. If there is stains, I try to really focus on those stains, individually, and then you go back over. And the biggest thing with that is you want, straight lines so that it dries normal. So I'll do that. And then the other thing that I did, noticing other products that foamed for Alcantara, I think that's just to keep it, the point there is to keep it from getting oversaturated. The foaming action does work really nice. So what I did, because I do like to use Express, is I went and got an empty hand soap pump. So you can get those anywhere. They sell them now, that just anything, you can put any soap in it and it pumps. So I went and got one of those and put the Express 1-to-1 in the foaming hands pump. And then I just use that. And that works really, really well. And that's a really, kind of easy fix if that's what you like to do is have foam. And it really does keep the Alcantara from becoming oversaturated. If you do have to get it pretty wet, if it's pretty dirty, I've never really had any trouble with that. I've had to do major stain removal on Alcantara. So I, take a soft bristle brush and, work it in, use the rag. I've steamed onto the rag and removed it. And, like I say, the biggest thing is have it all going one way, so smooth it down, brush it down all one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like using a brush, Detail Factory brush, or even like our Sidekick on
Yeah.
the
Yeah. The
Alcantara.
Sidekick looks really great on Alcantara. Yeah.
It's nice and light and soft.
Mhm. Yep.
And it works really well about breaking up any
Mhm.
grime that's in those fibers.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. Love it. All right. Fast Eddie said, MTE, this was our first official business trip. It was an incredible experience, planning to return next year. Yes, it definitely changes the trajectory of your business. It's just very invigorating. Senior Frogs was a ton of fun. Lots of people. Yes, I heard there was a ton of people there, and we were just not great party people that night. Eric says EnviroClean should work for mold. Yes, I would definitely. I go to EnviroClean as soon as I have used the finisher. And wine. I'm not sure what that is related to, but yeah, always probably and wine. Could
Yeah.
follow anything
I'm
else.
sure there was a lot of that.
Mike says, thanks, Eric. All right. I think they must be talking about wine still. I have some, Mike, if you need it. Good morning, team from the Rag Company. Good morning, Rag Company. They were at MTE too. They're probably
Gabe.
all they're yeah, it is probably Gabe. I'm guessing the rest of them were not up at 7.
Yeah.
That was a long flight home yesterday. That was brutal.
Cross country.
TRC, good morning. TRC. Oh, I have lots of TRC fans.
Nice.
TRC has great customer service. They do. We had a good time with them.
They have their own show. Why are they taking over ours? What's going on here?
Ours is the first after MTE.
We love those guys, and we had a great time with them, by the way. So
yes, of course.
Thanks to TRC for being so much fun and hanging out with us.
Yep. All right, Terry, loving the blueberry. Yep, loving blueberry and full throttle. Wipe off is amazing, isn't it? It's like you're not even doing it. It's so great. I love it.
See, Josh, you started a trend, man.
Yep.
Love it.
Jamie full throttled a sink over the weekend, and he has now quite a shiny sink. That's awesome. That is so funny.
I didn't think about using it on sink.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, Eric, is it a good practice when diluting interior? Is it a good? Oh, yeah. Yep. So here's my thought on this. So he's basically asking, should you dilute it with distilled or softened water? So if you use, here's what I feel like is I've used water softened water. So from a water softener, it a little bit kills the sudsing ability. Distilled water doesn't really change anything. So distilled water is perfectly fine to use. I use tap water, but here's why. So one, because it is easier for me out in my shop to use tap water, but I go through a bottle of Express like once a week. So when using tap water, you're going to be fine. If you are a weekend warrior or enthusiast, I recommend diluting it with distilled water because your bottle is going to be sitting there longer. And the only time I've seen challenges with the water has been if the Express has been sitting for a long time with tap water. And it's obviously the tap water is going to depend on area and how your tap water is in general. I don't have any problem mixing chemicals with regular tap water. But if it's going to be sitting in the bottle for a long time, then I kind of recommend using distilled water. My one exception to this that I always mix with distilled water only is when I'm doing Absolute in a spray bottle to be used as a window cleaner, clay lube, anything like that. Then I always use distilled water with Absolute. But my Express and my TrueView and stuff, I just use tap water. But it's because I go through it fast enough. So that's kind of my answer on that. If it's going to be sitting for a long time, I'd use distilled.
Right. And that's mostly because there is some minor bacterial residue in tap water, depending on where it is and who treats it. And we do put antibacterial stabilizers in the products. But over time, sometimes the bacteria win. So, again, you just let stuff sit a long time, anything can happen. So that's why. But we do put in a bacterial antibacterial in there. But yeah, if you're gonna let it sit for months, probably best to use distilled for any dilution.
Tony's really bougie. He used sparkling water.
Yeah, to add some extra spice.
It gives it some extra spice.
That may actually preclude him from ever being a co-host again.
That's funny.
That's great. Okay, what do you all think of Ego Maker as a one step? So you can use Ego Maker as a one step. It's all going to depend on the condition of the paint, the finish that you're looking for. So Ego Maker is a true compound. So for me, generally, when I use Ego Maker, I'm using it because I've got kind of heavy defects. So the finish whatever pad I choose to use with Ego Maker is usually not going to give me the finish that I want to do a one step. So just depending on what pad you use, it's kind of one of those things. And it's going to be paint dependent as well, and what level of correction you're wanting to deliver. So you can do it. It's not one that I often do, just because Ego Maker is a little bit more aggressive of a compound, and it is going to leave, some light marring and stuff that it easily comes out with a polish. It's kind of, that's a traditional compound polish product, but I've seen it work. We did it on Keith's Audi. We one stepped with Ego Maker.
Did you freeze up?
No.
Oh, well, on my screen, it's like you stopped moving.
Yeah, no. I was just saying, we used it. So it just depends. Do you use it as a one step?
On a finishing pad, I could try it. I actually have a car I'm going to go look at today that needs kind of a one step, but with a heavier cut. Mm-hmm. So that would be a good suggestion. I'll have to give it a try. Mm-hmm. I think on certain paint, it would work great. I don't know about some of the more finicky dark paint, like blue or black, especially GM.
Yeah.
But on certain paint, it may be a great alternative.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then, so Kyle, this is a great question, and we can link this back to the last one. So Kyle, you mentioned ultra coat polish. Can a coating go over it, even though it has some protection in it?
Yeah, I would still always paint prep.
Yeah.
I've done it many times, but I always paint prep. Even when I'm using like a primer polish paint prep, even if I just did a light paint prep, I just want to make sure there's no oils, and we'll pull that off.
Yeah. And so I have used Ultra Coat. So this is something that if you want to do this to make it, kind of have like an easy experience, is if you do use Ego Maker as a one step, and you notice that you just have like, just like this much of like, not 100% clarity, Ultra Coat is a really easy polish to just buzz back over the whole car. Like, it'll save you so much time from, maybe some other polishes you can just buzz back by, leaves it looking so great. So Ultra Coat, I really like to use Ultra Coat after Ego Maker, just because of it's just so easy to use. You can, work pretty fast. It's super easy to wipe off. And then, yes, I do use Ultra Coat under coatings a lot. It works just fine. But like Kyle said, you always want to paint prep the surface, and that's going to kind of remove anything that, could interfere with the coating bonding with the paint. So yeah, totally fine. I've done it tons of times. I've never had not one single problem with it. So, and that I reread that. So similar to ASE, that was from Robin for a benefit of the IDA. So, yep. Industry standard awareness. Will motorcycle be in line?
I think this was referring to the IDA question. It kind of came in right before we mentioned motor certification.
Okay, so yes, so the
motorcycle is definitely, it happened this year.
Yep.
So,
yep.
I think the question is on. Yes, it will
be online.
Okay.
Any of the written tests will be online. So marine is online. Motorcycle is not yet, but will be. So I think that's what that means. So
got it.
I've been set on the certification committee for years. That's what I got to
Perfect.
Thank you for the clarification.
I'm reading between the lines here while I read the line.
Does Babe's Boat have a mold product? So they have a mildew product, which mold and mildew are slightly different.
But it would work.
I think it would work.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, that is a consumer grade product, not necessarily a professional product. I mean, we built that line for, the Phillips family, cousins and Bob and Dave built that product line for the boat user, not necessarily the professional detailer.
Yeah.
But all the products work great. They just, they're not going to do the industrial level of cleaning we get to.
But worth mentioning, since Babe's built Mildew Blaster. So worth mentioning, Babe's made its debut at the PNS booth at MTE. So this was the first trade show that Babe's has been in the PNS booth. And that was, we had a ton of questions about it. So it caused quite the stir, but that was fun to have Babe's in there.
And the only product missing, we missed it dearly, but we really didn't need it, was the boot butter. So if you're a water skier, if you're not a water skier, you're still wondering. And shout out to Ian, who is our internet guy and does all of our website stuff. He's actually going to get Babes up on there for our customers so they can buy it on the PNS website. So that's going to be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great question, Mike.
All right. Gosh, when these come, I don't know what that's regarding. Fix the.
Yeah, when they come out, Facebook users sometimes.
Fix the leak.
Okay.
Boy, it was a long trip for some of us.
What were you talking about? So after finisher with mold, do you come back with the Terminator and bomber? Yes, Terry, I do. So basically I spray everything with finisher. I'll wipe if there's physical mold on top of the carpet or whatever, I will remove that, spray everything with finisher. And then I usually let it sit for 20, 30 minutes. I go do something else, whether it's on the exterior or, working in the non-mold areas. And then I come back and I start my normal system then from that point. And I repeat the finisher again. So yes, I would do finisher, wait some time, and then do, Terminator, bomber, and then finisher again, for sure. Yes, DoorDash and wine. Absolutely. I'm pretty sure wine came from DoorDash. Hello, Hans. Good morning.
What's up, buddy? Flight is longer. That's probably friends from Alaska.
Probably.
Their flight was long. That's for sure.
Yep. All right. Sorry, I was driving. Is it a good idea to take mold remediation class at a local community college? Learn the difference between different molds and different approaches to clean. We also do mold tests before the Florida vehicle. And you know what? I agree, because that's what I was going to say. And this is why I don't have a ton of experience with mold cars. I will do it if it's very surface, like maybe they had a sunroof leak and it's isolated in one area. I will totally take those. But if it's like mold car, like, the one, there was one 2 days ago, there's a new show out. And if you guys haven't seen it, it's called Dirty Old Cars. We have a couple friends on that program. It's awesome. And Jamie Buchanan did a mold filled car. And that was one that, like, I personally wouldn't take that car. I would send that out as like an insurance claim, except unless you have done, if you know your stuff about mold, then absolutely, you're qualified to do it. I am not qualified to deal with a car like that because I don't know enough about mold. So that's where, if you have that education, and I think that's great in your area, if you tend to get a lot of calls like that, then I think that's a great idea to go to the community college and take one of those classes, just so that, mainly it's one, to make sure that you know exactly how to remove the mold, but also how to protect yourself, because that's like an area you don't want to mess with, for sure. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Yeah, I need a little refresher. I took my mold training in 2000, so I'm probably a little behind the curve. There's probably
I don't get a whole lot of mold problems.
Yeah, I don't either.
I live in Oregon. We have warm rain, cold rain, and mold.
Yeah.
We have
I don't have that problem down here.
Tony, you're not helping yourself, buddy.
Tony.
Not coming back. Second half of the year.
Arizona. Yeah, and Arizona sounds great right now. It's like a whopping 10 degrees here. Freezing. Terry says, what's a good dilution for EnviroClean mold after finisher?
I like using EnviroClean 10-1. That's my go-to with EnviroClean. If you want it stronger, 5-1, but I usually dilute it that.
Yeah, I'd guess 8-1 probably be where I'd go with it. It's about as strong as I like to have it. And Terry, if you're coming to the meet and greet, Sydney and I, it looks like we'll be there on the 10th. So,
what time's the meet and greet? I think I fly out that night.
We do.
Yeah, I think the meet and greet.
Yeah, we might. I don't know. We'll see.
I gotta look at that. I did see that, and I was like, oh man, I think I'm gonna have to leave. Okay, Top Gun Auto Detailing says, what temperature and humidity percentage is too low for ceramic coatings? Well, I'm not sure that there is any official number on this because there's so many variables. So I don't really know that there's one that's too low. You could have too high of humidity that it'll still work. You might have to change up how big of an area you're doing, but is there where it's too cold?
I think you have adhesion problems below 50, depending on your environment. If it's really dry and
Mhm.
it's in the 40s, you probably are looking at a problem. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would ever try in the lower 40s. My general rule is if you can keep the shop over 50, you're probably going to operate fine.
Yeah, and
But
then
anything below that, I start to question my environment.
yeah, and then that's gonna go back to that it's not always gonna matter just what the temperature is in the air, it's also gonna matter the temperature of the panel. I mean, that's where I notice more issues is, because even if my shop is, heated to 50, but if that vehicle sat outside all night in 7 degrees, it's gonna take a long time for that panel to come up, to temperature. And, likewise, for, if a black car's been parked out in Arizona in 100 degrees and you bring it inside to your 70-degree shop, it's still going to take a long time for that. So, that's really dependent on not only the air and the humidity, but also the temperature of the panel.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, acclimating it to shop is a key thing. With a hot car, you can wash it and cool it, but with a cold car, unless you're using hot water, you're still not going to see the panel temp come up as quickly as you'd like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think temperature is probably the bigger issue. What percentage of humidity really is more of an effect on when it's high versus when it's low.
Mhm.
We tend to get a lot less flash acceleration with low humidity. So,
Yeah.
um, air conditioning is a nice friend when you have a humid environment, for sure. All right.
What's some detailing?
Yes, we agree.
He says, I find Playmaker makes for a great one step. Yes, it does. Great one step. My only comment on that, because just so that we don't confuse Ultra Coat and Playmaker. Kyle, how do you feel about that? I'm not sure that I would use Playmaker under ceramic because it actually is infused with Bead Maker. And so Ultra Coat I think is fine, but I'm not sure I would use Playmaker under ceramic.
Anytime I've used Playmaker and I've wiped it with paint prep, it has looked slightly different. I think it does hide a little bit of stuff, which is great. But if you're going to coat, it's probably not the product I would use to coat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great one step. Absolutely. I just wanted to mention that because we were talking about coating over Ultra Coat, I'm not sure I'd coat over Playmaker.
Yeah. I would still paint prep thoroughly, and then re-inspect the panel to make sure that there's no difference in look or defect removal.
Yeah.
But Playmaker does have some abrasive in it, and it will remove some defects. So it is a great product. I just don't know if that's the one I'd go for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hans says he has a gallon of R2R that has the last half inch of the bottle got gel in it. Is there something I can do about that?
Just use it. I do.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I just use it. So I've only had like 1 or 2 that do that. It does not affect the rags to riches at all. It looks like Heath has some input on this. So I've just always dumped the gel in the washer, and it's been totally fine.
Yeah, he didn't know that is actually a dual delivery system. So we sell it as a liquid, but we can also put it into a gel pack for you.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. We have had a little bit of, I think there's a stabilization thing. Dave told me that doesn't change the product, but it did jelly up a little bit as it aged and sat there, and but it's fine. It'll work. And my advice to Hans is use it faster and use more of it.
Yeah, and I was going to say that too, that it really seems to be after it's been open for a good amount of time. That's kind of the only time that I had that happen to me was I had a bottle and it was in my cabinet and it was towards the back. I ended up opening another gallon and using that. And then when I found that one, it kind of had that orange layer of gel across the bar. I just poured it in the washer. It was fine.
Right. Yeah. The reason I popped on is because we are aware of it. It's not all batches. It was an earlier batch, but yes, so don't send Ian or the website like 97 messages, guys. We are aware
Yeah.
it did happen with a batch.
Yeah.
But it is not a problem with the product being able to be effective. It's just a wonky thing that happened with one batch.
It's funny.
So
I know people can be very picky about products that do something like that or look different, but 90% of the time they all work fine.
Yeah.
The only time I'd ever would have a problem is if it had like a, not R2R, but if I had a compound or a polish that just got to the point where if you shake it and it won't fully, mix back up, that's the only time I'd ever have a problem with a product. Other than that, or smell. But R2R, I've used that gel before, and I literally had just a tiny bit at the bottom. I think it just sat with the top off for me. And I just dumped it in the wash, and towels came out great. So
I love it. R2R pods.
That's
R2R
awesome.
pods. Don't
Love
eat
it.
them.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave. We've talked about that.
Yeah, we did a long time ago.
Keith,
We talked about this too this
when will we
weekend.
start seeing the Liquidator towel online on the portal for purchasing?
I think we have to do a new thing. Hey, Bob. No, this is in the works. Has been in the works. I would expect that you guys will start to see the towel roll out here from February through to March. It definitely would be hitting probably before TRCMA, which we are all headed to at some point. But yes, this has been a long-term project for Bob and the team at PNS, all of us. And we have selected our next wave of towels we're going to go with that are going to roll out that in partnership. And yes, that towel is one of them. So it's coming. I know we keep saying it. And Anthony, we've been talking about it a while, but it is coming and they will be out soon.
I have a new Anthony Brown sweatshirt on. See that? Woo, cool.
Yeah, look at that. He's our co-sponsor.
I had such a great box. I came home to such a cool box from Anthony. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know what? Because I had him make me shirts that would match my pink shoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I needed to add more very hot pink stuff into my wardrobe. And so he helped me out with that.
Yeah. Well, we certainly got full pink shoes at MTE this year.
Yep. We found out that they literally glow in the dark. As I was walking down a dark alley, there was no question where I was.
Follow the shoes. Can't see the rest of it, but there are the shoes. So there you go.
Tony's trying to find himself a one-way ticket of never being on Bead Maker and Coffee again.
Oh, man. What's he doing now? Oh, I see.
There's new mold training since Keith's gone through it.
Well, when I went through the training, there were like 10,000 kinds of mold and like 12 that were actually, toxic. So I'm sure now we're going to have a cell mold.
Oh, Tony, man, this is why I love you, man.
Actually, I am so looking forward to seeing him. Give him a great big old hugs. Give him a squeeze. I'm just one of my favorite people. Tony, I'm just teasing him.
Let's go to the one from Joe Corona.
Oh, I got to get that.
All right, you're almost there.
I don't even know what that is. Stroopwafel.
That's for stroopwafel.
Stroopwafels.
Kyle, what's your take when a client is asking to wash and wax a motorhome? Do you talk them about coating?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on the situation. If it's a brand new RV, I definitely give them all their options and just talk about coatings, explain the benefits of a coating, the longevity of a coating. But I also like to feel out how they're going to store their RV. Storing an RV is really important. It's how I determine a lot. If someone's going to wash and wax their RV a couple times a year and they're going to store it indoors, that's totally sufficient. Of course, I'd want them to have a coating because they're going to enjoy the cleaning ability of a coating. The bugs will come off easier. It'll be harder to scratch, but you're still going to scratch it with a brush if you use the wrong brush. But if it's stored outdoors, I try and say, look, you're going to have to wash and wax this thing every 4 months. And this is the price to wash and wax an RV. This is the price to ceramic coat it. This is what it's going to cost you per year to maintain it. You can't let it sit and be unprotected. And really, that's with painted RVs. RVs that are fiberglass with vinyl graphics, coating them or waxing them, it doesn't matter. You're not going to stop oxidation if it's stored outside in the sun all the time. So I try and give people good advice on, get a cover, get it indoors, or get it under like some sort of a structure that blocks it from the sun. But yeah, I always share the benefits of a coating for an RV and its benefits. And my RV is fiberglass. It's ceramic coated, but I also pay a lot of money to store it indoors because I don't want to deal with oxidation and all that. So, yeah, give them that. And then when you do coat it, I recommend you find a place to coat it indoors. You'll get way better results. The coating will last longer. Your results, will be cleaner. There won't be any blurry lines. So, yeah, it's a great question, Joe.
Yep. All right, next one. As demonstrated by Sydney, I do believe that the new TRC BUUB brush looks like a sweet wipe and shine buddy brush. It is. I love it. So not only is it the same color, when that brush first came out, I was kind of like, I don't know that I'm going to like holding on to the wood handle, it being round, but I bought a couple and I actually really like it. I really, I enjoy it I like it better than the green brush for the wipe and shine. So, as with any brush, you have to get it seasoned. So just as a heads up to anybody that's going to try this with any brush, not just the new blue brush, is for tire dressing, the brush has to be seasoned. So the first time that you try it, you might not love it because you kind of need some of that grime on the brush to hold the dressing on there. So, but what I love about it is those bristles, they like suck in between the wheel and the tire and they just, whatever their flexibility is, they flex better than the green flagship brush for that. So I do love it with wipe and shine. I did do a personal TikTok with it. I just need to post that on the PNS page. But yeah, it's awesome with wipe and shine. Really, really enjoy that brush. Gabriel says it's great to see more people to watch this. Yes, there is more people. There's a lot of people on today. I'm trying to keep up. That's why we're so like, there's people everywhere. Trying to figure out who's saying everything. Okay. Let's see. Who says this? I think
it's
this might be Kyle Kenneth, right? Yes, this is Kyle.
Yeah.
And good morning, Kyle.
Okay.
We missed you at MTE too. So I tell them to polish the ceramic coat and then buy a really nice cover, and especially cover it if it's outdoors.
Yeah.
Did you do a class at Mobile Tech this year, Kyle? Kyle wasn't there this year.
Nope, I didn't. I didn't do a class this year on that. And the other thing,
there.
You did one last year, though.
Yeah, I did it last year. Even a cloth cover is kind of a Band-Aid, Yeah. You can still get a little bit of a sunburn if you wear a t-shirt outside in the sun all the time, and they wear out. The sun will break down the covers, the wind chafes them. So a cover is about a $500 to $700 investment that you're probably going to replace a lot, and it's not going to do the job that you think it will. If you were to get an RV like parked up right next to a building and get it out of the sun, or get it in a building, that's ideal, or just a hardscape metal structure to block the sun. For us here in Southern California, every RV that is parked, whatever side is facing east, west, and south, you're probably going to get oxidation. The north side doesn't, because the sun usually doesn't get that far over. But yeah, they're always oxidized. So you're lucky if you can get your RV up against your house and hide it from the sun as much as possible, or a building, or get it indoors. But yeah, don't think that the soft covers are going to save the day. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
They won't.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is partly my fault too, Sydney. We demonstrated crystal wash in New England last weekend, and
That's fine. That's fine. So, Anthony, I know, and I heard this so many times at MTE this weekend. So, here's the deal. The labels have arrived in Hayward. So, I did not want to film the video until we had the new labels because Crystal Wash has a fresh new and so the labels are in Hayward. I will be getting them this week. I will have Ian send me some labels so that I can change my gallons, and then I will get that filmed for you. I promise. So
Nice.
I would say probably two. I'll make it a goal by next Bead Maker and Coffee. I will try to have that video out.
Yeah,
promise.
Because I mean that product, the video is gonna be cool. The effectiveness of the product is cool.
Yeah.
But the look of that product when it sits on the car surface is kind of just, it's unique. It's a fun product. So I'm excited to see the video, Sid. And we have not forgotten that it needs to be done, but we wanted to have it be right. So the
really wanted to
were
be
right.
labels. Yeah.
Hey guys, Jamie, awesome.
Yep. All right. Are we coming to a close? So if you guys noticed,
I need to grab a cough drop. Hold on.
Okay. Yes, we have new labels. So Kyle's going to grab a cough drop. So if you guys noticed on our advertisement for Bead Maker and Coffee this week, we said we had a special announcement. So we do. So we're going to close out the show with a special announcement, and that is going to come from Kyle as soon as he gets a cough drop.
Right. But first, we have some other announcements we got to cover.
Oh, yeah.
Sid. So we announced our P&S Distributor University, basically our distributor experience, which we're super proud to be able to do.
Oh, yeah.
It has been a long-term goal of Team P&S to put a program on where we bring our distributors in, much like we do with our detailers for our 1-days and our training class centers. So we are going to start that program in March. We intend to do 3 to 4 of those this year. There is an international one. So if you're a distribution partner, this is going to be a great thing. It's really been a work in progress and a dream of ours to be able to bring this to the market. So we're excited about that. What do we have coming up in February? Well, what don't we have coming up in February? So we have a meet and greet a week from Friday. So that's in the 10th, I think that is. We have an extreme 1-day at PNS on Saturday. We have the guys from Car Guys or Chicago Auto Pros coming in to see us next week. Sydney and I are at PNS. Rennie's at PNS. The guys from Chicago Auto Pros are then going to Rennie's. We have training this month with Rennie for a week right after the Chicago Auto Pros is at PNS. We've got, we are going, Prentice and I, the director of training, are going to the Southwest Car Wash Show, and we're doing a coach training at Anthony Brown's place. Anthony, I'm going to try and have the labels for Crystal Wash by then. So, we're going to do a coding class there on the last Saturday of February, which I think is the 25th, but don't quote me on that. So we got a ton going on. What else did I miss, Sydney?
Just Prentice's class in Hayward. So our normal
the
PNS University training class. And that will be on I think it's the 16th and 17th or 17th and 18th. We still have a couple spots in each of those classes. So if you want to get to Hayward and take the class, we do have a couple spots for that. But it is going to be a crazy fun-filled February.
Yeah, Anthony Brown said, "Hey, I see the distributor class is sold out." Yes, it is. It took all about 3.5 hours. And thank you to Chris Woolman for running that program. We have another one coming, and we will announce it right after we get done with the first one. So we'll get there. Mike, Auto Detailing. I wish I was a distributor. Mike, Keith at pssales.com. Send me an email. We'll talk. I'm just running through the last 97 quick questions. So, and Anthony corrected me. It is the 26th of February. We'll have our coding class. And one last question for you guys before we let Kyle steal the show for the end of the show.
To detail a 58 Ford Galaxy. It's been repainted, but he wants the musty smell out of the interior and the exterior buffed. What would you guys suggest?
Well, you take the smell. I'll take the exterior. Okay. Let's do that.
Okay. So for the smell, one, you want to clean the interior. You want to get out anything that's in there that could be causing the musty smell. And then I would usually always follow up with our odor doc, just to make sure that we get everything out. So but you want to do that after you've cleaned the car. So odor doc is in the little silver tin can, 2 tablets, you stick it in, and we have lots of videos out there on how to do it. And then you leave the car running. Odor doc is amazing. For me, it has, every single time it works. So I do that as just the final finish insurance that I got all the musty smell out, and they work amazing.
Yeah, I would second that. Great suggestion. On the exterior for buffing, I would always recommend doing test spots. If it's a repaint, you may want to get a paint gauge and just make sure that everywhere is kind of consistent. You're going to get some crazy readings, probably because there's body filler under the paint. And so just look for consistency. Maybe you want to find out how much primer, paint, and clear coat. A lot of guys that have their cars repainted know how many layers of clear are on there. They know if the body shop has wet sanded it and buffed it out already. So kind of want to determine those things. And then I would say go to a test spot. Start with the least aggressive pad and product and work your way up. Check it in the sun, check with a color match light, and then just make sure you get the great results you're looking for. And make sure that you bill accordingly. A test spot will let you know if you're going to do 1 step, 2 steps, 5 steps, and make sure that you make money, because that's why we're here, is to make profit doing what we love.
And I would say the musty smell, sometimes you're not going to get that. And that is because under the seats in the old days, they used to wrap the springs with a burlap. And so the smell may be in the burlap, and that's something that we have a hard time, unless we take seats apart and reupholster, getting that out. So there's a lot of materials in the older cars that, they're not in new cars, and there's a good reason for that. But sometimes, and Sydney and Kyle, we all know it. You walk into a garage and you can smell the oil. It's just got a smell, and you can smell the must, and you go, this is where an old car from the 50s lives. And you know it. Some of that, guys, we call that provenance or patina. Some of that you got to live with. But a full clean on all the surfaces, doing everything you can there. But some of that stuff is a little bit built
some of that may be in the cushioning. Some of that just may not go away. It's part of it. So, well, you know what, Keith, I was going to tell you, February is kind of an interesting month. I'm going to go a little nostalgic on you guys. February 3 years ago is when I came to work for PNS. And so it's fitting that February is in a couple days, and I'm leaving PNS. And I'm going to move on to another opportunity that we'll announce in the near future. But I wanted to take the time to just thank everyone. It's been a great 3 years working for PNS, running my own business, alongside working with Sydney and Keith. And, it's been great. I've learned so much from Dave about chemistry, about product and product development, Bob about running a business, and so much about distributors and how the distributor model works. And it's been wonderful working for the Phillips brothers. They're great guys. I got to say to their families also, Yvette and Lee, you got great husbands. And I know Yvette more. I've seen her there, so it's been great to work with them. I got to say thank you to Ian, who's been just amazing there, building the website. Been the gopher. Whenever I need something shipped to a distributor, he's just done an amazing job. And the whole warehouse staff, all of them, they play a really vital role in getting products out. So I just got to say thanks. It was so much fun meeting them last month, hanging out with them. And then, the rest of the team, I got to say, thank you to Rennie Doyle. It's been a pleasure, selling his brand, selling the products with his name on it, and just learning from him over the years. I've learned a lot in the last year from him and more. And, going back even further, 10 years ago is when I went through Rennie's training in February of 2013. So in 10 years, I've come a long way in the detailing industry. And that a lot of that has to do with going and training with Rennie and going and taking part of the detail mafia and taking part in the Air Force One events. And now it's time to move on to some adventure. So I do got to say,
You're not going away.
no,
You're always going to be with us. You're our friend. You're our colleague.
But those things are of those chapters have closed. And Keith, I got to say thank you. When I came in to PNS was right when COVID started. I remember going to Mobile Tech, and in California, everyone was wearing masks, and no one in Orlando was wearing a mask. And I was like, "What's going on?" And then we got home from Mobile Tech, and we figured out what was going on, that month. And so, I didn't really get the opportunity to go through, really, really formal training to become a sales rep. But through your guidance and help, I had a lot of fun getting to know the distributors in Southern California and working with them. There was a lot of questions I had to ask. I had to learn how to basically be the sheriff of the map pricing and kind of get things in order because there was a lot happening in Southern California. So I just got to say thank you for your mentorship and friendship. And it's been great. It really has.
Well, I want to say thank you, Kyle. You left it better than you found it, which is what you always hope to be able to do as a partner for anybody. And I used to tell everybody that you've got LA and I have the world, and I had the easier job. So thank you, my friend.
Well, you know what? That was a lot of fun, and you know what? It was never the plan, to kind of do social media and work with Sydney. It just kind of happened naturally because of the great woman she is. But I guess, I'm not going anywhere, Sid, but I do want to tell you I love you and thank you. This has been great. And I'll come back on as a guest, try and be on a little bit more than Tony, though. Hey, his comment just popped up. I had to give him a hard time. Yeah. But it's been great. I think back of all the things that Sydney and I have accomplished with PNS and things that we have planned that she gets to continue doing. Besides Kyle's Boat and RV Restore, which kind of just happened naturally, all the other products like Dressed, Undressed, which I remember we had to fight for that name, but worked really great. Clarity Cream revamp, and what else, Sydney? Just all these great products that have been updated. Ouch. It's been so much fun. And then my greatest, blessing was to be able to work on the Sidekick with you, and just from a pure idea to bringing Bob the prototype and saying, this is what we want. And then, Absolute, how we just, Absolute and the Sidekick are kind of my fondest memories of product development, from basically, hey, we have an idea, hey, Dave, to giving it a name and picking a fragrance, a color, and a label, and being part of that. Those are two of the greatest things I've been a part of with PNS. It was a lot of fun. But now I get to take all of my knowledge and network that I've grown and take it to another place and help another business grow, which I'll announce that at a later date. I'm going to finish out the last day of PNS. I actually still have a distributor to take care of today and tomorrow. And then we will see where things take us.
Well, it's going to be a new adventure for you, Kyle. We're excited for where you're going. We know a little more than most everybody else does, Sydney and I and the team at PNS, and we're excited for what that means. And I think this is the best comment to edit on. Thank you, Bob. Dude, we love you. We know you're going to go do great things. We're going to be there with you. And like I say, you're not going anywhere as far as where we are. So we'll keep in touch with you. We'll have you back on. But thank you so much, friend. And with that, we are at time. I got to go see a customer. You got to go see a customer. Sydney has 2 motorcycles to go detail.
I think I can talk. I didn't think I could talk, but I think I can. I just think Kyle, I'm your biggest fan. And I'm proud of you. That's it. Okay, I can't talk. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Bristol has quit the show, so that tells us it's time to go. All right, everybody. Have a great couple of weeks. Sydney, I'll see you next week. Kyle, I will see you very soon. We are excited for where you're going, Kyle. So keep us informed, and we certainly will share the news as soon as he makes the announcement. Thanks, everybody.